countdown for the last few days. I feel like I'm so far away from the camera. Pull it a little closer. We've been doing a countdown for the last. We've been trying to get this together for what? For like a week and a half, 2 weeks,
Yeah. Yes,
and
at
the
least
time
a
has
week and a
finally
half.
come. It's so
Yes,
exciting.
I'm excited.
Yes, so I'm not going to be rude. I am going to introduce our special guest tonight, and this is Kristen Womack. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Kirsten, and I have been on the road for 5 years. February
We've been doing a countdown for the last. We've been trying to get this together for what? For like a week and a. Sorry about that. My
That's
iPad. I'm
okay.
usually trying to keep track of the chat, and it exposed me. I'm so sorry. You keep going.
It's okay. It's totally fine. Go ahead. But that's who I am. I work in automation online, so this lifestyle is perfect for me because I set my own hours. I own my own company, and I can work from anywhere. Basically, I don't have to be in a dedicated office. So you're seeing
Wow,
my
that
office
sounds
right now.
fantastic. That sounds fantastic. And guess what? We've almost been RVing the same amount of time. We are. This will be our fourth year doing full time RVing,
All
and I absolutely
right.
love it. I absolutely love it. So you guys make sure that if you have any questions, just know it from my point of view, right? You know, from whatever it is that I'm filming and showing them. So I wanted to bring you on because I have been admiring your travels from afar. So I'm really
Oh,
excited.
thank you.
I'm fangirling a little bit. I'm really excited that I get the chance to kind of talk to you and pick your brain and just hear a little bit of your experience. So we're going to be, because I didn't want to mess this up, I wrote down some notes. So the
Okay.
first thing that we want to know is what inspired you, and you said your hubby, to come and join this RV community.
We met a lady in Georgia. We were at a conference in Georgia, and she said she had to leave because she was staying an hour away. And we were like, "Why are you staying an hour away? Why aren't you staying here?" And she explained to us about Harvest Hosts and that she was on a farm with her 4 kids, 2 dogs, and her husband in an RV, and they had been traveling for a year. So we talked to her a little bit about it, and then the next day we looked at each other and we're like, we need to look into that. So when we got back to Florida, we watched YouTube and
YouTube University.
YouTube and YouTube. we were, I mean, we were just talking about how one night I stayed up all night and watched one channel, every video that they had. I mean, we just got addicted to just watching the RV videos. So that was in October. By February 28th, we had our RV after studying of
Wow.
what kind we should have.
I really,
Is
I've really grown to just really love it, and you are a part of that, right? See, we get a chance to connect, and even though we're clear across the United States from each other right now, we still have a sense of community, and I really love that about how that
yes,
works.
because I'm
Okay,
sitting in Las Vegas right now.
yes, and I kind of am a little jealous
It's
because I
cold.
absolutely love the West Coast. Well, at least right now you're not sitting in the middle of an ice storm here in Ohio.
Exactly. I can't complain. And I love the West too. We actually lived
Yeah.
in Arizona for a while and I really missed it. But yes, but it's a lot more expensive out here, I've realized.
Well, you know what? That is one thing I learned that the West is a lot more RV friendly.
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
it kind of evens out because on the
Mm-hmm.
East Coast the land is owned by somebody, so you're spending money for campgrounds and propane and all those things. Where on the West Side you can kind of plan it out, and if you need to
Mm-hmm.
boondock for a little while, you have that option, right?
Yes.
If you need to
Yep.
dump your tanks and get propane, you can go down to the gas station and do that. So
Right.
it does afford you a few more things, even though food might be higher. Other little cost of living things might be a little higher. I think it kind of evens out, but you
Yeah.
do have a little bit more RV friendliness on the West Coast.
Yes. Even on the highways.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's very
Hmm.
true. All right. So, what are some of the lessons you've learned as you were starting out in your RV journey that you can share with those that may be thinking about RVing and are watching this because they're very curious?
So one of the lessons that I learned is I had way too many clothes. I had way too many knickknacks.
I
I
still
thought I
do.
lived simple, but I really learned that I didn't live as simple as I thought I did. And so we had lived in a house in Arizona, and then we moved to Florida, and we were in a one-bedroom apartment. So we had already downsized one leg, right? We went
Yeah.
from a three-bedroom house to a one-bedroom apartment. But we still had stuff from the house in storage, and we had all the furniture in the apartment that we had. So just learning to not value the stuff so much and value the experiences, that was
Oh
the
man,
transition that I had to make, you know? You can
I
only wear one
agree.
pair of shoes at a time. I had about 30, 40 pairs of shoes. I mean, just when I look back at it, I'm like, what was I doing? You know?
Well, I guess when we live in that life and having a house and stuff, usually you're working, right? And so a lot of those things you have are work clothes. You change every day. You have different things you're dressing up for. I am guilty. I still have way too many shoes than I should. And I
Well, see,
still
and I
think
was
for
working from home, so I don't have an excuse. I just had stuff. But I had stuff from when I was working in the office, but I just had stuff. So I
and
can't
even
say it
that
was my job because I worked for myself and I worked from home.
even now I feel like I have way too much stuff still
Yeah.
for the closet space that we have. I know for a fact I'm always trying to come up with creative ways to kind of stuff something here and fold it up real tight and put it in there. So
Hmm.
I totally get it and understand it. So tell us, being that you just started, well, you started this RV journey almost 5 years, right? five
Yeah.
years When did you figure out your planning process? Because when we left, the only plan was west. We didn't even know to book ahead because I was like, well, I don't even know where we're going to stop. I don't even know how long we're going to ride. And there's such a huge learning curve. And so tell us, how did you get into the process of planning, and what worked for you? How did you figure that out?
I'm spoiled. I do no planning. My husband does all of that.
What? Oh my goodness.
He sets the route. He does the driving. He knows where we're gonna be, when we're gonna get there. But he uses an app, RV Parky, to
Yeah.
map it all out. And military bases we use mostly, depending on where, what city we're in and how many bases are available that have the fam camps. So that is one benefit that we have that a lot of people do not have, is being able to be on the military campgrounds. They are much safer than a regular campground. Not that another campground is dangerous. It's just that you have that security of the gate. Everybody here has to have an ID. So everybody here, plus there's a brotherhood amongst the soldiers, so that
Yeah.
helps too. But if there's something that I really want to see, like a rodeo or a concert or something like that, we see that it's in another state, we'll kind of try to do our travel around that, you know,
That is
plan the
so
route
cool.
based on,
You
like,
you're a
we went to the
rodeo girl? You like
oh,
to see
I'm a
rodeos?
horse. I'm a horse girl. I'm a horse girl. I've been a horse girl all my life. I love my horses.
Oh my
And so,
goodness.
yeah, so we went to a rodeo actually 3 years ago, I think, in our second year in South Carolina. So, and we knew when it was. So our whole route was designed around that rodeo, when we should get there, what states we should be in to get there on time. It was in South Carolina. So that's one of the
That
ways that we
is
do our route.
so awesome. Okay, now Sweet Pea has a question for you. You up for a question? She
Oh,
says, "Do
sure.
you ever get tired of being in the RV? And if you do, how do you remedy that?" And I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my answer on what it is that I do.
Yes, you get tired of being in the RV just like you get tired of being in your house. But I walk every morning, so that gets me out. We also go to the gym. And also, because we're on military bases, we'll pull in our slide and leave because we know that our RV is safe. and we'll go to, like, we went to California last month, to Temecula, to the wine country. And so we're going to go back and do that before we head back southeast. We're going to make another trip in the truck to California. So that's one way. And we've gone and stayed in hotels. While we've been here in Vegas, we've gotten some points thanks to Mr. Womack. We've stayed free at the Rio, and we've stayed at El Cortez, and we got one more stay I think we're going to do. So just getting out. And when we were in Florida, when we first started, we had a lot of wind. We were on Patrick Air Force Base, and one night it was storming so bad we just got up, went to a hotel. So that's what we do. If we are not comfortable, we leave.
Okay, so as far as we're concerned, in my mind, I'm conditioned that this is home, right? When I come in and close the door, my stuff is here. My pictures are up. This is my home. So I don't think of it. If I thought of this as an endless camping trip, then I would probably get tired of it after a while. But when you realize this is your space and you make it your own, and I think a lot of people are afraid to decorate their RV to the point where they're painting and changing stuff because you're always thinking about what if you want to sell it, right? And so I don't think like that. I think this is my home. This is my little piece of home ownership. So I don't get tired of being home, so to speak. Now, do I get restless? Yes.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
when
what
we're
I
out,
get. Yeah.
yes. And so when we're out on the West Coast, we pack up and we go hiking. There's so much to explore. You can go see a ghost town. You can go, there's like national parks you could throw a rock at them.
Right.
You can always take a hike. You can always go to a state park and explore something. I'm a photographer, so I love just taking pictures of stuff. There's never a shortage of things you can plan to do. It's a little bit harder for me here on the East Coast. But when our West Coast, it's like, hey, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna spend the weekend in Death
Yeah.
Valley. We're gonna go do this, and it gives you a more active social life without having to have a whole lot of people to have an active life. So I guess once you get into the mode to where this is my life, you adjust around it, and
Yeah,
it
you
becomes
do.
home. It becomes home.
Yeah. It's definitely home, and I think that's what a lot of people get confused about, because they're like, when we're in their city, well, you can come and stay at our house, but I'm at my house.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not like it's not like the RV is inconveniencing me. That my
Yeah.
bed is my bed, like I'm at
My
home, because it
my
is my
sister
home.
does that. She tells me if it gets cold out there, you come in, and I'm like, we're not in a tent. We're
Right.
okay. We're okay. And I think a lot of times, we were talking earlier this week, and you mentioned something that was like profound. I didn't even think about it, but you were right. A lot of people we meet at the RV parks, they're weekend warriors.
Yeah.
So their mindset is they come out real for the weekend, party real hard, and then go back home because they have to go to work. So I think a lot of times people can't get past how are you in that thing for longer than a weekend or a vacation. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, because the intent is different. Their intent is to go and have a good time all weekend long,
yeah.
and we're living it. It's, again, it's our home.
It is. It is. So you mentioned that your hubby's the one that does the planning, Lucky. Okay. Um, so what are some tools that you guys use? Because there's a plethora of apps out there and stuff like that we use. As far as when I am planning, one of the big things I did learn when we first started out in our first year, and you guys check out my ebook. It's called Miles and Memories, and it's telling you all about our first year experience and all the things we learned. But anyway, um, I learned to search along my route for campgrounds. Like if
Hmm.
we really didn't have a destination, but we knew we needed to get to a certain place,
Hmm.
I would go in the app on the phone, like my Google Map, and then search campgrounds along my route, and I would find something there and kind of go from there. So, what apps do you guys use that will help people who may be planning for the summer and using an RV?
So we use RV Parky, and that also includes the government webs, or not government, the military campgrounds, and we use Harvest Host. And I'm not sure. I think he's on here. My husband's on here. He could put in the comments what else he uses. But I know he uses RV Parky. When we started out with a different um, app, and it just didn't work right for us. It just didn't work for us. So a lot of it, RV Parky, I'd say, is the main one.
Okay. All right. We have some more questions in here. The chat is like going crazy.
Okay.
Let me see. Renee wanted to know, what do we do about mail? How do you get your mail?
That
I don't
that
need any
always
mail,
makes me
my
laugh.
dear.
That always makes me laugh because I don't get any mail for real. So we do have an address. We have a house in Florida that we get mail at, and then it gets forwarded to us by my sister. Either we'll be at a campground that'll allow mail, or like here in Vegas on the base, they allow UPS and FedEx, but they don't allow like mail and Amazon
House
deliveries.
mail.
Right. But there's a UPS store over on the other side of the base, and we use that. And my sister just forwards the mail there. But really, we don't get mail. I mean, everything on is for us is online, except for if you're involved with the VA. They send a lot of letters when you need to have an
Yeah.
appointment or any communication. So we get that and text type
And
stuff.
even with that, they have the app, My Healthy Vet, so you can kind of go in
Yeah,
there and take a look at that too. Now,
yeah,
what we do is if we're work camping, and I know we're going to be in the area for about 6 to 7 months, I'll get a PO box, and I'll have a
okay,
PO box there, and then I'll just have whatever mail where I had it before forwarded there if I feel like it's something important. I really don't like to do that because then you're just paying to get junk mail, and so
right.
and we another thing we learned, you guys, sometimes it makes sense to go and check out some of these RV shows because they're not it's just not selling you RVs, especially the one in Florida. It's very informational. You have a lot of people there that talk about RV life, and there are services that you can pay
Hmm.
for where people will collect your mail, look at it, scan it, send it to you wherever you are. So there are ways around it. If you have a relative that loves you enough to take on your mail and let you know what's going on, you could do it that way. We got
Yeah.
one other question, and this is Sweet Pea again. She says, how do you secure your RV when you're going out of town?
Same way we used to carry your house. We lock the door and we leave.
Well, okay, so let me tell you what the rest of us do that can't be on a secure military base. There's such
Right.
thing as
Yes.
a ball lock, right? It's a hitch. It's a little flat plate that goes up under the ball that hooks onto your truck right here. So your truck ball is here, and then you have the cup that the camper sits down on. There's a plate that you can put on there, and it comes with a lock so somebody can't just back up and hook up to your camper and pull it off. There's also a wheel choke, so you could put it on your wheel and choke it so somebody can't just pull off. And this is where getting to know at least one neighbor comes into play, where you can say,
Yes.
hey, we're going to be stepping away for a couple days. I don't expect anything to happen, but could you just keep an eye on my stuff? And you don't leave out things that people want. You don't
Right.
make your place attractive to folks when you
Right.
know you're leaving.
Yeah, because when we went to California, I think it was last month or month before last, I don't know. Our neighbor came over when we got back. He's like, "I kept an eye on your rig for you. I noticed you were gone and you weren't coming back, and so I kept an eye on it for you." But see, that's the part. That's the love of the RV community, right?
Yeah,
When you live in a house, your neighbor might not even speak to you, let alone watch, just notice that you're out of town. So
yeah.
and like you're right. See, and that is when we first started out, I did not want to stay on military campgrounds. I wanted to go to campgrounds that had all the amenities and all of that. I learned very quickly that is not for me. Um, it's just too much. It's too
Yeah.
much of not people in and out, people walking through your campsite. There's just a lot. It's just a lot different. So I prefer, and I love the harvest house. I love staying the one nights at the wineries and the lavender farms and the automobile museum. And we really have used our harvest house membership.
We had Harvest Host, and I think we used it like 3 times.
Oh
I
wow.
just I never really used it, and it seems like the directions we were going, there was nothing really where we'd want to stop. Like, it was like the museum downtown, parking lot.
Yeah.
And so it was
Right.
it was a lot of things that I was like, yeah, I'm not too crazy about that, but we did stay at this awesome cheese and winery in Tunamuck in Oregon, and it was called the Blue Heron, and you could stay 2 nights, and that was awesome, and that being free to stay there. So we have had some positive experiences. I just didn't use it much. And as far as staying at regular campgrounds, I could see you finding security and staying on the bases, and I find security staying in certain campgrounds because, like anywhere you stay, it could be sketchy.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of having a house that moves,
Yep.
right? So if you don't like it, you don't have to stay. But I
Right.
find I find that more secure than being in Walmart parking lot. So
That I
that's my
won't do.
trade off. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
that's my trade off.
call
I'd rather be at
call
the
me a
campground than to be at Walmart in the
yeah,
middle of the night where so it you have to figure out what works for you and where's your
exactly.
comfort level, and
Right.
and and just go that route because it's your home and it's your journey. And guys, we would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. We had
Yeah.
20 people watching, so we like to have
Thanks,
20 thumbs
guys.
up. That works good. All
Yeah.
right, so let's
Yeah.
move on to our next question. And keep the questions coming. I'm trying to keep up
Yeah.
with the chat and trying to make sure that I'm getting all your questions in because that's what tonight is about. We want to help you with your curiosity
Yeah.
about
And
our
thank you,
fabulous
Renee.
lifestyle. All right.
Yes.
So my next question is, what is the biggest challenge that you've faced thus far in the 5 years that you've been doing this?
Let me see. So, okay, I'll talk about different types of challenges.
Okay.
So
That
I had a mental challenge of when someone is sick in your family or passes away and you're way far away.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, right.
That is a challenge.
And I had a health scare, so that was a challenge. But thank goodness we were here in Vegas and the actually I can look out the window and see the hospital. But that was a challenge. Um with the RV, we lost our refrigerator during the COVID time. It went out, which was our fault because we weren't level. We were parked like this, and stuff got stuck in the back of the refrigerator, and our refrigerator went out, and we didn't have a refrigerator for 30 days because it was
Oh
during
wow.
COVID and it was hard to get parts back then. And we had all this traveling that we did, but we did fine because you know what? You figure it out, right?
Yeah, you
When
do.
hard times
You
hit,
do.
you figure it out. We got a cooler, we got pre made salads, we got just crack an egg and a dozen eggs, and we kept that, and that's how we ate to keep from going out. But those were the main challenges: the health, the family things, and then when something goes out. And we had a leak, but it wasn't anything that was overly challenging. What was challenging about that was finding a qualified RV tech to really find out what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Leaks are never fun. We didn't winterize our camper last year, and the pipe in our sink bust. And so my husband had to go to YouTube University and figure it out, and he did, and we had to change out the sink. And $200 later, we had a new sink. And I can identify with the health challenge. My mom had one last summer, and I was in Maine, and she was in Florida. And with my siblings, um, I think sometimes they think because you live in an RV that you could just kind of pack up and go at a moment's notice, and it's really not like that, you know.
No.
And they're all still kind of working and doing stuff, so it's like, well, you got to go, and it's like, well, I have obligations. I'm working here too. It's not that my mom is not important. It's just I at the time I didn't have the ability to just throw everything in the car and hit the road,
Right.
so but eventually we did make it down there, and we were able to help her and get her back on track and all that good stuff. So I can identify with those things. And then with my mental health challenges, some days I have those struggles, right? and
Hmm.
and I get it. Sometimes you everybody thinks you should just be happy all the time, and life doesn't stop happening just because you're not in the same city. It still continues
Right.
on.
Right.
Renee wanted to know, so are there many African American families in places like Oregon and other Midwest locations? Absolutely. Okay, we are
Yes.
everywhere. You
We
can
are
go in
everywhere.
Ely, Nevada, in the middle of the desert where tumbleweed is passing by and going to gas station, and there's a black person at the gas station at the desk.
Yeah.
We are okay. I'm going to say this, and I hope you guys are listening. Do not be afraid to get out of your neighborhood. Okay, we are
Amen.
everywhere. We're everywhere. You're going to see Asians, and they in their camper vans and they having a good time. Hispanic
Hmm.
families are out and they having a good time. You got whites, blacks, we all get along. Everybody's at the campground waving and talking and oh, that smells so good. What are y'all fixing? You know, nobody's looking. My experience is nobody was trying to kill me while I was there. Everybody's there to have a good time and kind of relax
Ex-
and do their own thing.
exactly.
Nobody's perusing around for trouble, is what I'm saying. They're not looking. Now they're curious because we have been some places where we stuck out like sore thumbs.
See, I
They're
would say nosy.
curious and they want to know how long you've been doing it and where you've been and how did you find this place. But I have not yet camped where I felt like, babe, we need to pack up. This is not a safe place. Oregon is such a beautiful place.
See,
My heart,
we haven't made it up there yet. And we that's
my
we
heart
got to get
is
up
in
there.
Oregon. My
Yeah,
heart
we've
is
got
in
a couple
Oregon.
states to still
You
hit.
guys are outdoorsy folk. You will love the hikes to the waterfalls. They are amazingly beautiful. Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, period. Oregon and Washington State is like one gigantic, beautiful rainforest. People think
Okay.
because of Portland it gets a bad rap and Seattle you get a
Yeah.
bad rap. But there's not very many RVers that we going in and going to downtown to park the RV. You're usually on the outskirts of town, on campgrounds,
Hmm.
and you have an agenda, right? You're going to take the
Right.
waterfall loop and do the hike. Like you said, you go to the lavender field farms. They have this loop where you can go and pick fruit from different orchards and stuff like that. Oregon is, if I was going to settle down and stay somewhere, Oregon was where I would be. I love the
Okay.
coast. I love the coast. I love everything about being in Oregon. I just did.
And I love
I
it. Yep.
absolutely
And I
loved
feel
it.
that way about Colorado.
Yeah.
I
Oh, my goodness. We went to Telluride. It was amazing. Have
We
you
went to
been to
Colorado
Telluride?
Springs. No, we went to Colorado Springs. We went to Manitou Springs, and then we went to a little small area, and then we went to Durango.
Yeah,
I,
well,
I
if
can't,
you go back, and you go through,
when we go
go
back.
go to Telluride. I love
Okay.
a walkable city, and it's one of those places where you can get out the car and be done with that for the whole time you're there. You can walk anywhere you want to go, and
Okay.
I love places like that.
Oh,
So get out, you guys. Stop being
yeah.
scared. Get outside your
Yeah.
comfort zone. It's okay. It's okay. And if
Yeah.
it's not, then leave.
And again, the community. It's a different
Yes.
community. This is a community that you. This is what community is to me.
Yeah.
The
Did
RV
you have any
community is what.
trouble? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hmm?
Finish. Go ahead
Oh,
and
the
finish.
RV community is what community should be. RVers look out for each other. At least all that we've come across from. We've been out here 5 years. We have not had one problem. Well, we had one, but it wasn't even really a problem, and it was out of a person that it just doesn't matter. It wasn't a problem. But that's the
Yeah.
only time we've had one little small incident, and it was just somebody being not nice. That's all.
Themselves.
Yeah,
Being
basically they were
themselves.
unhappy. So whatever. Move on, dude. But you know what we did? We went
Yeah.
up to the office and said we need a new spot. We packed our stuff up and we moved to a new spot. And that's what you
And,
do when you're in an RV and you're not comfortable.
and there you go. There you go. So I know you say you're still working. Do you have
Mhm.
any like tips for people for budgeting? What worked for you as far as budgeting is concerned to afford this lifestyle? Because believe it or not, I had somebody walk up and tell me when we first got started, how are you guys affording this lifestyle? It's kind of expensive. And I was so offended. And I looked at her and I said, I'm a trust fund baby. I just lied. I just told her that to get out her
Good
face.
answer. Good answer.
But we
So
both
I
lied. When we both laughed. And so I just left it like that, because it's not anybody's business, your financials, but you do need some kind of finances for this lifestyle. So Could you
Right.
tell us
Right.
about budgeting? Like, what do you do that works for you?
So my husband's retired and I still work. I cook a lot. Like when you go to different cities, you've got to try their food, right? I mean, you just have to.
Yes.
That's just part.
Yes.
Well, you don't have to unless you're like me. That's part of what I like to do. I like to go into a city. I like to find a black-owned restaurant to support. I like because I don't want to be cooking food, leaving it in the refrigerator, and going out to eat. So we try to eat out one time, while we're in the city, two times,
Yeah.
and then cook. Cook for yourself. Plus, okay, so again, back to the health scare, right? You need to be healthy to be on the road because you're not going to be able to run to the doctor every 5 minutes because something has happened, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I
That's
get hurt
true.
here, but we're scheduled to be in another state, that's not going to work. So I try to cook healthy and eat at home because I need to be healthy so I can keep going and exploring all the places that I haven't been to.
That's a good motivator.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is because I mean, diet is important and we walk, like I said, we walk, we hike. Um, the best gyms are on military bases, y'all. They have the best gyms. We have access, right? So, for example, the gym here has a sauna, a swimming pool, a basketball court. You can get a massage. You
That sounds
can
nice.
you could get free. I got the free in-body body scan. There's a protein shake shop there that also sells salads and healthy sandwiches. So going over there, that's something that I do. We do that. My husband does it more than I do, but we get over there and get our workout in too to stay healthy so we can continue to travel. Because you
That's
can't
a
be,
good idea.
yeah, we've met a lot of people that have gotten really sick on the road and it's scary.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You don't even think about that part of it when you're out there. You
Yeah, you
just
don't, but
go,
it
go, go.
happens. Hmm.
Yeah. And so as far as budgeting concerned, what would you say would be the best
Oh, I'm
piece of
sorry. I got off the
advice
track.
for budgeting? If they wanted to do this, what would be your best advice to somebody interested in doing it, having a budget?
Only spend what you need to spend. Live within your means and below your means. And it's easy to do in an RV. So don't overspend. Like if this is something that you're thinking about doing, start now cutting back. Even if it's something you want to do when you're retired and you have 10, 15 more years to work, start now reducing the amount of stuff in your life. You're not going to need it in the RV and you're going to feel so free. At first, it's going to hurt because you're going to be like, oh, I want to keep that. There's certain things you're going to keep, like photos, sentimental things. Yes, you're going to keep that.
Yeah.
But start now weaning your stuff from the joy of stuff. That will help you with your budget because you're going to be spending less money on that stuff.
Yes. And for us, um, the budgeting the most is gas,
Oh,
right?
okay. That way. Yeah.
Gas, yeah, because your whole life is gas, right? Because your car is how you pull your house, and it's making sure the maintenance on whatever vehicle you're using is
Hmm.
up. So it's like for me, budgeting. Where am I going to go? How often we're going to travel, and making sure that I'm planning enough for that. And so then, as we're moving, I look at state parks. Usually, when we're traveling and we're stopping for like a couple days, like 1 or 2 days, like say we're leaving here, we're headed to San Diego. I would pick a route and then look at all of the state parks because state parks tend to run cheaper than regular RV parks. So I know
Yes.
we're only staying a couple nights. In New Mexico is wonderful for state parks. It's
Ugh, I
$14
love
a
New
night
Mexico.
and you get hookups, right? So I can plan, and if we want to stay 3 or 4 days, we can do that there because I know it's $14, a night. And so if you plan for your trip and then you save for emergencies, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
really just you have to have some, I used to call it honey don't know about money. You got to put it away because it's not if, it's when,
When.
right?
Yep.
So you got to
Yes.
have something stored away, and then you move frugal. For us, we just try to keep gas money because we know we got 1,000 trails. We know we can boondock. We know, you can go to a state park. So our biggest expense is gas and propane, right? And
So yeah.
during the winter,
Yeah.
we use a lot of propane, but not so much in the summer because my husband is the one that cooks. So he does everything outside on the grill. So I'm spoiled in that regard, you know, unless I want to eat healthy, then I have to cook it myself. But he's the one that makes all the stuff that tastes delicious, you know. So it's one of those things where we, like you said, you do a little bit of meal prep. You don't buy more than what you need just the sake of packing out the house to have a lot of food. You eat what you
Mhm.
cook, and you just
Mhm.
kind of move in a manner of, I want to have more life than stuff,
Right. And
and it helps.
one pot meals is my way to go. If I can throw everything in one pot, just so I don't have to have a lot of dishes, because again, our RV is very small. I
Yeah.
mean, it's only 24 feet, but like inside it's probably 15 feet of space. I mean, right now I'm sitting in the living room, kitchen, dining room, and bedroom. you know, you know.
The all inclusive room.
Yes, it's an all inclusive RV.
Well, right now I'm sitting in the kitchen slash living room.
Right. So and
So,
you know what? And there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually, a lot of times I think, where did the whole house thing become such a, I don't know what the word is. It's like a status symbol or a, I don't know. Like people are like, you live in an RV? Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think that it has been such a big part of the American dream till you can't fathom not having a house. Because that's what you went to school for, right? So you can get the house, the car. Hold on one second. The dog. So you can get the house, you can have the car, you can. It's been a status symbol of wealth and that you've made it and arrived. And so the thought of being in something small and cramped, you only think of that a vacation or poor, like you can't afford anything else. And
Right.
it really is not that at all, right? It's a
Right.
lifestyle choice.
It
And
is.
so I think once you can wrap your head around there are different types of American dreams and that
Mhm.
people dream differently, then you can
Yep.
be a little bit more open minded about why people do the things they do. And I think a lot
Yep.
of times people criticize it because they're curious and they don't really understand. And I'm glad that
Yeah.
we're able to do stuff like this to kind of be transparent about our experiences, which brings me to the things of what would you, if you could refine this experience, like now you know you would do this differently from when you first did it, what are some of the things you could share with us?
So we didn't know much about RVs at all, and I love our RV. Our RV's name is Big Baby, and I love Big Baby, but Big Baby does not have automatic levelers. And to
Oh,
go, yeah, yeah. We didn't know anything about being level or levelers or any of that. I would have levelers.
okay. All
I
right.
would say, don't, if you're buying a Class C, or Class A's, I think they all have them, but if you're buying a Class C RV, levelers, because driving up on those yellow squares trying to get level, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, your RV has to be level in order for everything to continue to work and for you not to be rolling out of the bed. Because again, I said in the beginning, we ruined our refrigerator because our RV was going down like this. And in the back of the refrigerator are coils that circle like this. So the fluid got to the first curve, and then it got stuck there, and that's where it stayed, and it
Oh
made the
no.
refrigerator not work. So those are just little things, you know, that you have to be aware of. Yep. Mhm. Right.
Is there something like a personal experience that different next time? I'm glad to kind of figure that out. Now I would caution people to not do that you know, on their experience starting out?
I think we were pretty lucky, and no, I don't think there's anything that personally affected us that we wouldn't do again, because it's all part of the journey, right?
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
part of what makes you grow as a person, because I felt a lot of growth since I've started this. I think maybe if I was in a house, I wouldn't have grown as much as I have, but nothing major. I mean, the leveling, that's about it.
Okay. Well, as far as I would do this differently first starting out, I think when we started out, like I said before, we didn't really have a plan. So I guess now that I know the importance of being a full timer, planning is important. And I guess I took that for granted because of the simple fact is I didn't realize how busy and how big the RV community is, and especially during the summer season. And so planning is everything because sometimes people plan and book stuff a year in advance. You know, I've worked at campgrounds where they booked for the next year before they left. And then you
Oh
think you're going to
wow.
leave and get into these places by just walking up, and you run the risk of not having a space or them not having room or not being able to do the things that you plan to do. So I really learned on different levels, even when we're just moving from one location to the next, to have something of a plan is important. You know, winging it has its advantages. You know, it has its place.
Hmm.
But if you're moving to this as a full time lifestyle, having a plan when you're planning to do things is very important. And I learned that
Yeah.
rather quickly. You
Yeah,
know, you get
routine too.
yeah. You're thinking, oh, we're
Routine
gonna go
picking
to
up.
this park and we're gonna go do this, and then you get there and they're like, sorry, we don't have a space, or sorry, there's nowhere, we're all booked, and then you're like, well, what are we gonna do for that? Where are we gonna park this thing? Because when night falls, you kind of need to know where you're gonna be.
Yeah.
So
And we don't travel at night. And we don't
no,
travel more,
no,
we try not to travel more than 3 hours a day. So that's where that Harvest Host membership comes in good, because when he maps it out, he can see the Harvest Host too. And so if we're far between bases and there's a Harvest Host in between, then we can stay there, because you had said earlier about not staying in Walmart. I'm not doing that. And I'm sorry for those of you that do it. More power to the people. But I am
one
not.
night, and it taught me
No,
a valuable
no,
lesson. I was like, that
no.
is not for me. I have never stayed in one since, and I was done with that.
No, mm-mm, no. I'm
Oh
not
my goodness.
comfortable with all of that. That's too much. That's just too exposed. And I don't need to get somewhere that fast where I'm putting myself in that type of situation.
I
And that's back to your
110%
planning.
agree.
But yeah, I've
Yes,
got
I
an awesome
110%
husband.
agree.
I've got an awesome husband who likes to map that stuff out. So it works out well.
Okay, now we're gonna take a couple more things I wanted to ask you, and I appreciate your time. I don't know what else you have to do, but I don't want to monopolize all your time. So I just have a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind.
I don't
And
mind.
you guys, if you all have anything, you better throw it in the chat quick while we have her brain to pick. So
Yeah.
make sure you get it in there. So
I
when
want to
you
get
do,
go ahead.
go ahead, go. No, 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 go ahead.
Okay, I want to get back to one thing that you said about having a plan, and that's
Okay.
important. Of always planning, like when you're going to leave in the morning or the afternoon, like knowing what time you're going to do stuff on travel day, because you don't want that to get away from you on travel day and you end up packing up late, forgetting something not getting hooked up, and that's where a checklist comes in, because there's a lot of small things that if you can miss it, it could
You
end
will.
your full-time RV life if you're not careful. So planning when you're going to leave, and planning, like, I know if we're leaving the next day, the day before, I'm already putting stuff away. Moving stuff away from the slide. I'm making sure that we're going to be safe, because being on that road and not being safe can be scary.
That's true. And I've seen people drive off and forget stuff all the time because they were in a rush, and
Hmm.
they went to go dump and then forgot to pull their hose off and all this kind of stuff. So you're
Yes.
absolutely correct about that. Now we're gonna get on to the fun stuff. I have two
Okay.
questions. So Is there any place that just blew your mind and you just absolutely love, love, love that you could tell people if they are going to plan something this summer, put this one on the list?
Colorado Springs.
Okay. What did you do
Colorado
there? What?
Springs.
How did it steal
So
your heart?
the beauty of it. The people were nice. There was a variety of food options, but the hiking, oh my goodness, there's so much hiking. There's the Garden of the Gods, and then there's Manitou Springs, which is like right next to um, Colorado Springs. And there you can catch the tram and go up to Pikes Peak and
Oh
experience
wow.
being that high in the sky. It's just a beautiful, beautiful city. I just love it there. And then next to that, I would say New Mexico. I loved New Mexico. Those sunsets and sunrises in New Mexico are beautiful. They're beautiful out west too, but they're really beautiful in New Mexico as
I
well.
love the desert. I am a big fan of the desert. I love the night sky where I can see the all the stars and the Milky Way. It is just, and there's no sleep like the sleep you get in the desert. Like it's that eerie quiet,
Yeah.
but you love it because it's like you finally get, you don't realize the difference in your sleep because you're just so used to hearing cars pass by and highway and people. It's a different type of rest where it's just
Yeah.
so quiet. I really enjoy that. So,
Hmm.
in your spare time, what are some of the fun activities you guys have done that you're like, hey, you got to experience this out on your journeys?
So the Pikes Peak, that was awesome. Driving Needles Highway, that was beautiful.
That sounds
Uh,
scary.
it was, but it was beautiful. And we went through this little tiny area in the truck, and oh my goodness! But when it opened up into such mountainous beauty at Custer State Park. We went there because we thought we were going to see I'm not sure if it's buffalo or bison, but either one. It was a hot day, so we didn't get to see any.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and
Have you
the
guys ever?
Badlands were beautiful too. Oh, and I'm forgetting. How can I
We went
forget
to Badlands.
Page, Arizona? Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
you went where Horseshoe Bend is.
Yes, Horseshoe Bend. Oh my goodness. Those pictures that you see online do it no justice. It looks
It
like
does
it's
not. You definitely
close.
need to see it
It's
yourself.
way down in. It's beautiful.
Another place, if we ever go through that area again, I would love to go to Antelope Canyon.
Yes. Now
I
we
know
went to
that's
the
on
little free
native
canyon.
land.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on native land, and you have to. It's like $100 to go.
Yeah.
But I would totally 110% love to go to Antelope Canyon. Have you ever been to Utah?
Yes, St. George.
Okay, we spend a lot of time in St. George, but if you could get up to Salt Lake City, go to Antelope Island, and they
Okay.
have herds of bison on that island. They're just everywhere. Absolutely love it.
He's barking at one out there.
Yeah, he's barking at my husband coming through the door. Sheep, that sheep. We have two dogs. We have two
Oh,
dogs,
okay.
and so the one you saw, he's super quiet. He don't have anything to say. But we got a little small girl dog, and she is very vocal. She will
Yeah.
let you know she is in the building.
Little dogs do.
Yes, she's got a complex there. Well, man, this has been so much fun,
Yeah. Do we have
and
any
I'm so
more
excited we
questions
got
from
a chance to
anybody?
hang out.
Did we get to everybody's questions or no?
Let me see. Let me check the chat. It looks like I think we did. Somebody mentioned there are even unspoken RV etiquettes, like
Yes.
leaving behind firewood for others. Like
Yes.
if you don't use it, like you said, not walking through people's sight. And
Hmm.
your move with Mack said Snow Canyon. We stayed there. It was
Yes.
beautiful, but you can't hike it at 12 noon.
No.
You will burn alive. It's like cooking an egg on the sidewalk. There, you better have some.
Yeah. It was hot. I don't know. We did quite a few trails in Snow Canyon. It was beautiful there.
It
We were
is.
there early and there was nobody on the trails but us. There was one other trail that a couple was on. And we actually learned about it from another RVer. She's like, it's too crowded at what's the big park in Utah? I can never remember it. Not
A
Yellowstone.
Zion? Zion?
Yeah. She's like, don't go to Zion. Go to Snow Canyon State Park. Same beauty, less people. And she was so right. There was no one
Zion
there.
is beautiful. Just take the drive through. We boondocked right outside of there. We were about 20 minutes outside of Zion. We stayed at Hurricane Cliff, and it's a
Okay.
big boondocking area. So we stayed there, and that night sky was amazing. We were right around the corner from everything, and it was free, so you could stay there for 14 days. You guys, if you want to know more about boondocking, I actually did a whole video on what boondocking is, and I will put a link to that in the description below. And tell us, how can we find you guys? How can we find Move with Mac?
So we're at movewithmac.com, and actually over on our website, check out our RV resources link. We've got some free stuff and some paid stuff over there. We've got some checklists. You can ask us any questions. There's no charge for that. You can submit the question, and I will get back to you. We have a digital guide that covers from getting started to on the road. We also do some coaching, and what else is on there? Our newsletter. So movewithmac.com, MACK, movewithmac.com. And that's
and
who we
and
are
I'll
on
put a link
Facebook.
and I'll put a link to your website in the description so you guys can check it out. Go over and support them. They got a YouTube channel. It's the same name. We'll put that in there as well. Do you have any parting words for us? That the words of wisdom that we can mull over later
Yes. Let
when
me
we're thinking
think.
about
I'm sure
this.
I always have some kind of words. They're not always words of wisdom, but they're words. Yes. Let the stuff go.
It'll be
That
worth it. I promise. You won't even miss it.
you will feel so free. There's just something that comes over you. And I find myself buying things and I'm like, no, you got to stop it. There's no reason to buy
You got
these
to do
things.
this. You say, if I buy this, I got to be willing to give something else away.
Exactly. So anytime I buy a shirt, I've got to get rid. There's no choice. I have no room. I have two drawers, you guys. I
Well,
have two drawers.
I don't live vicariously through that rule, but I definitely know that it's time for me to kind of go through my stuff, because when you sit for a long time, you accumulate things and you start
Yes, you do.
buying stuff and getting stuff. And then when you hit the road, you're like, I gotta lighten this camper up because this is probably about 200 or 300 pounds heavier than it was when we came here. So it's like you got to start purging things, even in the camper, to make sure that that you
You
are
stay
making.
safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that matters too. So we do have a question that just came in, and it's from my friend Doc. She wanted to know, how did the two of us become acquainted? Well, we both are members of a RV group online on Facebook, and she was posting her adventures, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I love that." And then I got a chance to reach out to her and we became friends. And I was like, we should do a live together and kind of just share our experiences of what we learned on the road, because I think everybody would benefit from kind of just hearing it from
Hmm.
different perspectives. And so it
Yeah.
was really nice to be able to get it. She agreed to come on, and voila, it's what you see today.
Here
two
we
weeks of
are.
planning. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're really excited that you were able to make time for us today and come on and be a part of
Oh, I so
our
appreciate you. It's
RV
fun.
community here online.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we could collaborate on something later on down the line, another little project. That would be awesome.
It's going to happen. I already got ideas.
And I appreciate it so much because this was so much fun, and I feel like I gained a new bestie.
Oh, me
So
too.
So you guys, I'm gonna put some information below where you can reach her, reach out to her, and you can go over to her page and show her just as much love as you show me, and you can live vicariously through their experiences as well. And we are so grateful that you guys took some time out of your afternoon to come and chat with us. All
Yes.
of your questions were on point and greatly appreciated, and I hope
Yeah.
we answered them. If you're watching this video after the live and you have questions, put it in the chat and we will still do our best to answer them, because I can go over and say, hey, jump over to the page. There's a question for you. and she can answer
Okay.
it as well. Or, like she said, you can reach out to her through her website. So we
Yes.
are so grateful for you guys. Give us some parting words before we close out, other than get rid of this stuff.
Okay. Take care of your health. Without it, life is a struggle.
It
Take
is.
care of your health.
Well, we
Mental.
love you guys. We love you guys, and we're so thankful for you and your sweet pea. I see he was help keeping the chat going, so I appreciate him
Me
110%.
too.
And my husband was jumping in there and helping it go on. And so we appreciate our spouses because they
Yeah.
do bring an extra flavor to the table. Well, you
Yes.
guys, we love y'all too, and we thank you so much. And that is going to end our broadcast. So be safe, as my friend
Yes.
says, be healthy, and we will see you guys out on the road because you never know where we may end up. Bye for now.
Bye bye.